Hi there. James Binns here from Network N. Today my speech is entitled 25 Ways to Sell More Indie Games. I realise I may have oversold the title a little bit, 25 Ways to Sell More. Well, it will sell more if it's great. But if you do one of the 25 ideas as a consequence of this speech, or even change your behaviour a little bit, I've technically won today. So I'll tell you about who I am first of all, though I promise not to shield too much. I'm James Binns. I'm the co-founder of Network N. We're a media business for gamers. We own a bunch of websites, including our flagship PCGamesN.com, does about 10 million monthly uniques. We also look after a site called Steam ID Find, another one called Wargamer. We have a big esport site called The Loadout, and a fast-growing mobile gaming site called Pocket Tactics. So across our journalists in the business, we've got a nice diverse set of skills in gaming. We have an ad network. We build ad tech and sell these campaigns. So we have about 65 million users we look after every month, over about 130 sites. We think we do about 2 billion ads per month. And that puts us really big across PC and console. For example, our network has the biggest Xbox site in the world. And also we run an agency. Now the agency does complex creative work for where just ads or just editorial were not the answer. So for example, for people like Epic, we ran the launch campaign for Fortnite in Europe. For Hasbro, we make a bunch of trailers. For Riot, we make esports content, all sorts of other things like that. So where there's something a bit more complex, that's when the agency works well. All three of the bits work really well together. Most people would choose to do just be a publisher or just be an ad network, but we like doing all three things. Makes it more complex, but we've got a big focus on gaming. A few caveats before I get stuck into the 25 points. The opinions are my own. I could have presented tons of research today, but it would be quite a boring presentation, and you can find lots of that. So my sources are not brilliantly acknowledged. It's mostly anecdotal. I've never made a game, so I can never appreciate the challenges indie faces. And I know it's been a crappy year full of change. So hopefully some of this will skip in our step. So I have one idea per slide. The first thing, if you want to sell more indie games, is to commit to learning. You're off to a great start. You're in the right place looking at this presentation, but you should really be seeking out knowledge around games promotion and marketing. It is more complex than people give it credit for. There's a load of great free resources. I'd recommend Simon Carles's new blog, Game Discoverability. It's brilliant and has a load of detail in it. It's on Substack. There's a link clickable if you open this deck. There's another site called Game Analytics that does great content. And you can always follow clowns like me on LinkedIn because we're happy to share insights all the time. But first point then, you have to really commit to actually understanding distribution and marketing to sell more indie games. The second one is to start as early as possible. There's a Chinese proverb, unattributed, no one who knows who said it, that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time is now. PR agencies, games marketing agencies, they have a running joke about indies, which is 2 weeks to go after a game they spent their life savings working on and a long 2 years of development, say, they start thinking about marketing and they'll ring an agency and say, can I get some PR for my game that comes out in 2 weeks' time that no one's heard of? And that is nuts. No one's going to steal your idea unless it's absolutely completely different to anything else. But the weird thing is, if it's that great an idea, no one saw it coming. I'm thinking about Among Us. So really, you have to start super early. So if you haven't started thinking about marketing an indie game, start now. You really should be looking at what works and why. You may have lots of thoughts about what you want to make, but understanding the existing trends will get you a long way quicker. Let's take the last summer 2020. 3 games sort of blew up that I saw a lot on PC. Phasmophobia, Fall Guys, and Among Us. I think you really need to try and understand what makes these games so popular. And also be thinking about whenever you're making a game, what you should try and understand. These 3 games, they have multiplayer, they have a shared experience. And one thing I find great about games like Fall Guys is if I have a great time, it doesn't make someone else's time miserable. So I think that's really important. 2 of the games appeal to kids, and think about how you make games for younger people as well. Don't always go for the darker, grittier reboot of your game. All 3 games are fairly easy to get started on, simple rule sets, not 100 hours grind until it starts getting good. And they're all fun to watch. I'll come back to that in a minute. So third point then, bit of research on what works and why. Now, you really want to be researching your market. And there are a mountain of great tools you can use. For example, you can look at what people are watching on Twitch. You can look at Steam Spy. It's a bit hobbled recently. Or you can look at the network end site, Steam Spy, Steam Charts rather, sorry. And here's an interesting one. If you look at the figures, you can see how quickly Among Us accelerated. It's the green line. Fall Guys was doing pretty great. It's the orange line. And then, hello, what's this? Out of nowhere comes the Party Animals demo, the blue line. Party Animals launched a game out of the blue, and that absolutely flew. It's a really strong demo they did in the Steam Festival. Research demand for your game as well. You have to zoom in on this a bit. So generally, you can look at what type of genres and what type of things people want. My favorite is and you can do this using Google AdWords. It will tell you what people are Googling, what people are searching for. So for example, if you were looking at what superhero games people are looking for, I can see that last month, 246,000 people Googled Spider-Man game. Only 320 people Googled Groot game. 590 Googled Doctor Strange game. So when you're looking, for example, at what people are really into, you can see that it turns out Spider-Man games are bigger. Now, you're not about to sign a Marvel license, but you can do great examples of this across what you're doing. You can get different things like puzzle games and find out genres. But this insight into what people are actually searching for, what there is passive demand for, is really important. The sixth thing I would say is, if you want to sell more indie games, is don't try and make an esport. The community will decide if you're an esport. And the rush some people have to say it's going to be an esport is nuts. Really, you want to start with a fun multiplayer that's great to watch. I put the image there of Shoot Mania Storm. It feels bad to make fun of that game, but that's try to arrive ready-made as an esport. And if you look at a game that's just fun to watch, like Among Us, you'll know that there's already esports teams playing it, but that was not a nurtured esports scene. It was just people worked at it, it'd be fun to watch. And with that point, really, it's important to work out if your game is going to be fun to watch. Because if you can make it fun to watch, then it's much easier to distribute and get PR for. And you will need to think about how you bake it in from the start. Some people will try and sort of retrofit a spectator mode and work out where the cameras go. And this is why some of the first-person shooters, like even Call of Duty, found that hard, because they were very fast-moving games, not necessarily fun to watch. But a game like League of Legends that has a slower pace turned out to be fun to watch. But right now, people are making games that are fun to watch, so you should always be thinking about that. And this is a mean thing to say, but nobody really cares as you are planning your game or marketing it about your lore just yet. Lore building is fun and you'll want to do it, but actually you're better off working out what parts of the game you can nick and make feel familiar. So if you think about Overwatch, it arrived with ready-made lore, but that was because they'd spent so much time on a game, Project Titan. If you want to laugh, Google this video, how Star Wars borrowed from Dam Busters. It's crazy. And then you look at how everyone else borrows from Star Wars. You can just make things familiar. There's a trailer of a game called Trail Makers that seems very familiar in its styling. All right, so the point here is everybody wants to talk about their game world a lot, and you emotionally are very connected to your game world. But until people have played the game and enjoyed it, they aren't going to care. So you're better off just making it feel familiar. Point 9 to sell more indie games is make it easier to put the games on other platforms. Really, you should, unless you can make an engine of your own, if you're smart enough to make it, if you're smart enough to make an engine of your own, really, you should go and work for Epic. If you're not, the idea that you would start your game using a graphics engine like Unreal or Unity makes a ton of sense because you're able to use networking tech really quickly. You're able to make your game work on different platforms really quickly. And if your game does work, you'll want to port it as quickly as possible to other platforms. So I'd use a game engine to sell more indie games. A big part of your success is going to be your ability to engage with distribution. And this is the main thing a publisher will do for you these days. Fall Guys, they have attributed a large portion of their success to the work they did with PlayStation Plus, making it a free game with PlayStation Plus. Now, when your game's a hit, lots of distribution will come to you and people will want to put it on Xbox Live and other services, but there's no harm in getting ahead of that and reaching out ahead of time to try and work out where and how you can take advantage of other methods of distribution. So engage with distribution as early as possible. You really want to make a trailer for your game. Now, it's an appallingly obvious point, but the thing I want to say about how to sell more indie games is don't make a trailer for the genre. Now, frequently people are so into their lore, they'll make a trailer with loads of spaceships and people looking a bit moody. And really, they're just advertising spaceship games. Or they'll make if you look at the trailers for different tank games, they could be for any tank game most of the time. So it's very important that you show gameplay in your trailer. And this helps to manage expectations of what the game's going to be like as well. If loads of people download your space trading game, which is mostly spreadsheet based, because they've seen a trailer that makes it look like Elite Dangerous, they may be disappointed. The trailer to watch right now that I love is the GTFO one. It gives a really clear indication of what the game is, has loads of gameplay in it. But also make an explainer video. Now, this is really important because you want to describe exactly what you do in the game. Now, when you make one that can work well on social media. So this is going to be text with voiceover and, video of the game with text overlaid with voiceover, but make one that can autoplay on silent, that is sure to distribute on social media. You should definitely get a KeyMailer account. KeyMailer is the easiest, fastest, cheapest way to get started with freelancers. I have no vested interest in it. I think they're just great. And you can sign up for a free account, collect requests, review channels, issue keys, track coverage for free. And if you want to do some slightly premium services, they start about £100 for indies. So I think it's exceptional value for money at free, and at £100 it's great. And we are amazed when we see people that aren't using that tool. Secondly, get a GamesPress account as well. Now, you'd have to pay for this. It's about $70 a month, but you can have an account for just 1 month for when you're running it. There is a sort of free version, but for $70 as a way to distribute a story about your game, we think it's a very cheap, effective way of doing it. Now, KeyMailer and GamesPress will both give you general buzz about the game, but you do need to pick out specific journalists and influencers that like and play games a bit like yours. You're trying to find people that are able to be interested in that kind of type of game. So look at the footers, see who's reviewed which game and what kind of scores, and reach out to them. Now, press teams get hundreds of emails a month, thousands of emails a month, trying to get coverage for their game. And it's just a load of spam. But if you can find a reason why your game is relevant to an individual and contact the individual and make them care, you're much more likely to get results. You should also build a website. Now, I know that you can do most of the stuff you want inside Steam or inside the Xbox One and PS4 dashboard and Switch dashboards, but it's dead important that you have your own website as well. Now, part of this is because as people are interested in the game, you want to be able to push them to the relevant stores and have a place to link to from your marketing and promotion that pushes the relevant stores. Because if your game's on PlayStation 4, Steam, and Xbox, you don't know where to send them if they click on an ad or they click on a link with an influencer. Much better to have a site and then the ability to distribute the links. You can build websites with like Squarespace, dead cheap, like $100 a year. A website will also give you a chance to build a cookie pool. Now, quite sophisticated plan, but you're trying to build a set of cookies you can use for remarketing your game. Now, in order to do that, you create a Google AdWords account. That's the easiest way to do it. And you can drop cookies. You can drop them with link shorteners. So things like Bit.ly enable you to drop a cookie as you click, and you can drop a cookie. And you can also drop cookies on your website. And you can attach the audience inside your Google account with your Facebook account, right? So you can start to sort of combine the cookies you have. So people who've seen your video on Facebook, you can retarget with that. So you can retarget them on Facebook. Forget that. I don't know if you can attach Google and Facebook. Now, it's quite fiddly, and you probably want to ask someone who understands it. My 18th point is that you should also be building an email list. The easiest path is to use a business like MailChimp. There's the funny MailChimp animation of the hand about to send an email. And the baseline package from MailChimp is about $10 a month. So you can, that will store 500 contacts. It goes up in price as you get more contacts on the list. but it's a really easy way for you to build out a way to contact the people who are interested in your game directly. And you want to build out some social media presence. Now, one thing about building out any social media presence is don't get hung up on follow accounts on Facebook and Twitter. They're vanity metrics. And you'll think you want to have a load of followers for your game, but if you look at even big games, they have very few followers. It's very easy to buy reach on Facebook and Twitter. So don't really be sad if you don't build a massive follow account. You really are trying to find some super engaged ones that really love the game. 100 good ones are better than 1,000 people aren't very interested. And Discord is great. Look at what games publishers are doing on Discord right now, and developers. You'll see they're all building out really strong communities on the tool. This is the thing I feel really strongly about. Is it's a dumb thing really. When you upload a video to Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, embed the file as a native video. If you embed a YouTube file on Facebook, then nobody sees it because Facebook will crunch the reach of an embedded file. So it's really important that you just get the video file and upload it natively. So many people make that mistake. It drives me mad. When you're promoting your game, all the campaign stuff you're doing when you're trying to get attention, you should ask people to take action. Ask them to follow you, to wishlist the game, to join your Discord. Asking for action is a thing that people are shy to do, but it's really important. If you want to know everything about marketing, go and buy this one book. It's called Influence, Psychology of Persuasion. It's by Robert Cialdini, and it's excellent. And when you've read it again and memorize everything in the towel experiment. I'm not going to talk about it now because this is a presentation about indie games rather than marketing. But the towel experiment is crazy. And you'll really want to understand how when you ask for things in certain ways, you get what you want. You need to make a demo for your game. It's a very 1990s type cover disc type concept, but obviously with things like the Steam Game Festivals, demos are more and more important. You know, there's hundreds of people making demos now. And if you want to see the best example of a demo, it was the Party Animals one just recently. They've kept it up a little bit longer, but I think maybe it's been taken down as Develop Conference happens. But out of the blue, a game that looks pretty cool, fun to play with friends, just took off, and it was in one of the biggest games on Steam for the week it was available as a demo. When you start making your game, think about what the demo would be like. Think about the vertical slice of fun you might give away to get people into it, because the demo will be the thing that influencers play when they first start touching it. Demo is the first touch point with the game where you're trying to get people interested in sticking around. So you definitely want to be making a demo. It's a very obvious point about Steam. Use Steam tags to help with discovery. Here you can see that I like zombies, online co-op, team-based games, co-op, and FPS. I play a lot of Left 4 Dead. But if you are thinking about where you want your game to fit into the Steam ecosystem, you really need to be thinking about which tags you're going to have your game assigned to. Now, 24th point, and this is the one that's most self-serving, is to buy some ads. How you choose to market, advertising needs to be a part of this. The stores are super crowded and really struggle with servicing games. And there's so much they're trying to do, and there's so many people who are asking them, and people are so frustrated with Steam discovery. It's nuts that not enough people think about the web as a discovery surface. It's massive. You can reach your players. You can cut the information in the right way. You can buy Google ads that are cost per click. You can work with media owners like Network N to give really big targeted reach. And the reach of an ad compared to the reach of any piece of PR is so much higher. So really you want to be thinking about how advertising can be part of your mix. But really you do need to get some help. Now this relates to the very first point in this presentation. You need to learn how marketing works, but at the same time, people in marketing and publishing aren't trying to become experts on Unreal Engine and C++. They are not trying to learn the discipline of development because it's really hard and takes a bunch of skills. And marketing publishing are similar. There is expertise required to do this well. So even if you don't want to buy loads of ads, find someone that's smart that can help you with this. talk to a PR agency, talk to a marketing agency, talk to media owners, because they are the people that think about this every day, that have gone through hundreds of launches of indie games, and we'll be able to bring you a load more insights. And that's it. My clock says I've done this in 21 minutes. 25 reasons why 25 ways you can sell more indie games, rather. Now, if you want to learn more about this, hit me up. Find me on Twitter. I am Binsey42, or just email me, james@network-n.com. I hope that was helpful. Bye-bye.